Picture a corner office. You'd assume the person sitting there, surrounded by the markers of professional success, feels entirely secure. But the higher some executives climb the corporate ladder, the more intense their internal anxiety becomes. It's a quiet, persistent terror. They sit in meetings waiting for the moment someone will tap them on the shoulder, declare they are incompetent, and reveal that they never belonged in the room to begin with. This experience is profoundly isolating. When you are in the middle of it, you assume your peers are as confident as they look, which makes your own self-doubt feel like a unique and shameful defect. However, this paralyzing fear rarely reflects a person's actual competence. It is a psychological trap, a specific internal illusion playing out despite the evidence of their success. Because the anxiety feels so visceral, many people look for a medical or clinical explanation for why they feel like a fraud. But you won't find this condition in the official diagnostic manual of mental disorders. It has no biological cause, no genetic origin, and no clinical markers. Psychologists call this impostor syndrome. They define it as a recognizable structural pattern of thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. If it isn't a medical condition, we have to look at how it actually functions. How does this internal anatomy manage to trap so many high-achieving people? The syndrome operates through three distinct components in tandem. First, the cognitive element, the internal background noise insisting they don't deserve success. Next, the emotional layer, chronic anxiety and fear of exposure. Finally, the behavioral component, overworking or procrastinating to hide the perceived fraud. When these three elements co-occur, they lock together. The result is a vicious, self-sustaining cycle of anxiety and overcompensation. This cycle is often established long before an executive reaches the C-suite. It is multifactorial, frequently starting with heavy family expectations regarding performance and achievement. That family pressure is often amplified by a broader culture of constant comparison. Eventually, these external standards solidify into internalized limiting beliefs. In clinical psychology and executive coaching, the first step toward addressing this is naming the pattern. Naming the phenomenon strips away its stigma. It transforms a shameful feeling of personal failure into a recognizable situation with specific, manageable characteristics. To help executives break this cycle, coaches use a dual-pronged intervention. They begin with the Apollonian approach. Named for the Greek god of reason, this method relies on objective data, logic, and behavioral assessments like the DISC profile. The coach uses these tools to dismantle the fraud narrative. They present the executive with a historical record of their actual results, proving their competence through mathematical and objective facts. By focusing on what is irrefutable, this logical attack disables the cognitive gear of the syndrome. It makes it much harder for the mind to deny the reality of its own success. But logic alone is rarely enough. Data often fails to reach a deep, irrational emotional fear. This requires the Dionysian approach. This second half of the intervention focuses on the emotional depth and the shadow, the parts of ourselves we try to keep hidden. Instead of trying to outrun the fear of exposure, this approach encourages the individual to embrace their inherent human imperfections. When an executive combines Apollonian logic with this emotional acceptance, the imposter cycle begins to lose its grip. They stop viewing themselves as a fraud in hiding and start seeing their accomplishments clearly. Imposter syndrome is a manageable state. By mapping its anatomy and applying this dual approach, an individual can finally see the fraud for what it truly is, an illusion.
Positivity, global coaching, yeah. Positive coaching, we move.